2025 is proving to be the year of journal customization for me. It started last week with me showing you how I set up my Filofax personal planner to make it not only super functional, but also aesthetically pleasing inside, which is not something I feel like you typically think of when you think of like a ring binder system, as also it being creative and colorful and all these things, especially when from the outside it looks like a pretty corporate traditional planner. So if you missed that video, go check that out. And my customization journey is only continuing with this new beautiful notebook journal that I have. This is by the company Paper Republic, and it might be the most functional journal that I've ever bought. So I'm gonna get into all the nitty gritty of this, how I'm using it, how I customized it, why I'm so excited about using this in 2025. I've been using it for about a month or so, which is not a long time by any means, but enough for me to have kind of a first impression of this. So let's just dive right in. Before we talk about the inside, I want to talk about more of the outside of this journal. This is a passport size Grand Voyager from Paper Republic. This is a refillable notebook. So everything about this thing right here I can customize. I could switch out the color of the band. Obviously I chose the color of the cover itself, but I can also pick whatever types of notebooks I want to put in here, both ones that come from Paper Republic themselves or ones I find, you know, in the wild that can fit in here, because it's all held together by strings, so you can in seconds take in notebooks, take out notebooks, do whatever you want with it. But I opted for the passport size because I think it's a really good fit too with my Filofax personal size. Something about the smallness of these systems just makes them much easier to bring with me. And in particular, I feel like this is a really easy notebook to toss into my purse. It's not too heavy, but it allows me to always have access to some paper and an ability to do any sort of creative play that I want to. Now, choosing red was also something that was a little bit out of my comfort zone, because traditionally I go for the classics, browns, blacks, neutrals, and this is just like bam, red in your face. I don't really even own a lot of like red things. It's not like the color that comes to mind when I think about a color that I love. But the red is one of the reasons I think I love this notebook so much. I just think it's so punchy and vibrant and fun, and it makes me want to open it up and get creative. And because this is actual leather, when I looked at the videos of how the different colors in the Paper Republic's lineup patina, I just adored how deep and dark this one gets and moody it gets as it ages. Like I said, I've had this for about a month, and already in the month I've owned it, it's gotten a little bit darker and more textured, and you can see if you look at it up close that there are some marks building on it, and it's starting to get that well-loved feel. And I love the idea too of having a cover that is leather, so it's gonna just be around forever, and that's great because it means I'm gonna be able to get a lot of use out of this. But also I think the idea of a cover transforming as you use it, and it kind of being a reflection of how, you know, unique that the contents inside of it are. Like, just like how I can customize the full inside, the outside is going to be uniquely mine based on how I use it, how much I use it, marks that it develops. Like, it's going to be completely my own version of even like a red cover, which I think is romantic in terms of stationery talk. Charm is not something that I bought at Paper Republic. I actually added this myself. But before I kind of get into that, I'll let you guys see how I transform the inside of this journal so that I can open that up and talk about that more. So this passport size Grand Voyager comes with one plain notebook. I did end up buying another set of refill notebooks, and I actually bought this one and the notebook refills from a stationery store here in Toronto. There's two that sell Paper Republic's, Gortzman's and Leywines. I got this one from Gortzman's, and I got it during a sale. So hot tip if you're in Toronto, I don't know if they ship internationally, but they do go on sale, which is a great bonus. I was very happy to get that. Since there was one plain notebook in here, I opted to get the refill set that came with dotted paper, because that's typically the type of paper that I do a lot of journal styles within. So got two dotted, one plain, and then it was time to figure out what arrangement I wanted for these notebooks, at what order, and how I could make them a little bit more exciting. I don't know about you, but I'm looking at these notebooks and not feeling super inspired to fill them in, because although the red cover is beautiful and punchy, these are very bland and neutral. Now, Paper Republic does sell ones that have a little bit more decorative covers on them. You can check them out on their site, but I felt like I could easily add some spice to this with some stickers. So I'm bringing back the sticker book that I used to also add some decor to my Filofax. This sticker book is really great because there is such variety in it, and I think it's going to be such a help in this calendar year of me spicing up my planner and my journal. And actually, as I started decorating the covers with these stickers, I realized that I was actually thankful for the fact that the covers themselves were so plain, and I was able to really create the look that I wanted on the inside of the journal as well by getting creative with these sticker placements. So for this one in particular, I used an X-Acto knife to just kind of create the perfect size for this notebook cover. Of course, I didn't want the scraps to go to waste from that sticker that I cut, so I added it to the back. And honestly, I decorated the backs of all of these notebooks because the backs deserve a little love too. They have just as much visibility as the front cover, so I didn't want to ignore them. For the ones where I had stickers I was using that were a bit awkwardly sized, I actually played around with folding them into the interior, and it kind of gave me the bonus of also adding some more decor once you open up the notebooks. I did the decorating without any specific desire for matching the sticker or notebook to the theme of the notebook's contents. So I really just focused on finding things that visually made me happy when I looked at them and trying to play around with placing them in unique ways so that each of these notebooks has a different feel. But I think especially because of the floral element that's in all of them, it kind of looks like I bought them as a set. But no, I just had some fun with my sticker book. And the real hard part, honestly, was just figuring out the order of how I wanted these books to be presented. And it was at that point that I really focused on what these notebooks were going to be. So here is the setup situation today in more daylight terms. This first notebook right here, as mentioned, is dotted, and I currently have my first 2 pages going. This is the cover page. I'm covering the bottom here because it has some personal thoughts and memories I don't want to share on the internet, but it is essentially going to be a spot for me to record, or it has been so far, a spot for me to record memories or moments that happened at any point during the month that I just kind of think are something that I don't want to forget. I've also found myself writing things like quotes that I really loved. Like I just read Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, which is a huge release I know so many people have been excited about. So I wrote a quote from there that I really loved. Places I visited, like little tiny moments that just made me happy. It's not even really a spread, it's just like random notes here and there. But I would imagine that as time goes on, I'll make sure to make like some sort of title highlighting when a new month has passed, just so I know a rough timeline of when certain things are happening, or when I heard a quote or read a quote or found out a piece of information, or even like a quick reminder or something I don't want to forget. I can kind of timeline it to a certain date. But this first notebook has like a lot of flexibility to it. It can also be as I'm on the go, just writing something down, or a to-do list or checklist that I want to have with me when I'm out and about. It's kind of the notebook that I'm leaving up to like a lot of freedom, and I'm not going to be super stressed about having the right things within it. It really needs to be a functional spot, especially because this is a journal that I'm taking with me on the go places. And if I need somewhere to write the randomest thing, a number, a name of a store, a street address, whatever it is, like it'll go in here. The next notebook though is a plain one, and this is my reading journal. You saw me do the little cover page right there, and a little book recommendations page for me to keep track of any books that come up on my social media feed or in real life that people say I should read. I haven't obviously filled this in, so I think I have to remember that this page exists. But what I've done for January so far is I've essentially just used this page to write down every single book that I've read and a quick star rating beside it. I currently don't have my reading tracked anywhere. I haven't been using Goodreads religiously, so I thought this is a great notebook to do that in because it's smaller and I don't need like this massive notebook. But I do think I want to go beyond in February, just doing like a little star rating. I'd like to have some sort of thought bubble next to it, not like a full review, because honestly, I just read too much to like want to invest that much time into writing a full review for everything. Although I do want to get better about doing some reviews for certain books on my Instagram, so be sure to follow me there. But I do like the idea of being able to record the books I read and have somewhere that's keeping track of it for personal records, so I know when I read something and just like a general thought about it. And I kind of use like the stars as right now as my way of describing to myself maybe my thoughts on the book, but I'd like to go like a little bit beyond that, add like a favorite quote or something, or just some like bullet points. So this I think will expand out a bit more in February, and I'll try and keep you posted on what that means because I'm not quite sure yet. It's just been a while since I've had a physical reading journal, and I am excited to bring this back into more of a traditional, you know, pen and paper system, because as much as there are benefits to having digital versions of this, especially when it comes to nonfiction reading, I think that's really a helpful place to leverage digital planning tools. But just for the memories and for the I don't want to say aesthetic of it all, but reading just feels so physical, and I think like having it in a journal that I can see, that I can flip through, kind of like I would a book, just feels right. This is gonna evolve, but so far so good. It's been a cute little thing to do when I finish reading my book, to be like, okay, now I get to open this up and add my little book to my list. And then the notebook next to it has the floral pattern, and this is gonna be a spot for me to kind of have my Portuguese learning stuff in it. Now, I keep telling myself every year that I want to invest more time into learning Portuguese, and it is never something that I'm doing consistently enough to make a difference in my Portuguese. So I was trying to think this year, what is like the thing that I can do to make it as easy as possible to make this a regular part of my daily routine. With language specifically, I've heard that we actually only use like 500 to 1,000 words on the day-to-day. So the argument is that if you're trying to learn a new language, it's a good spot to focus your time on is on those 500, 1,000, 2,000 most common words in a language, because you really don't need to like waste time, not waste time, but spend time on obscure words like scientifical words or mathematical words, when you probably need to know more of the stuff that you need in conversations on the day-to-day. The moral of the story here is I'm starting a list that I'm gonna keep on going, and I add to it daily a word from the most common Portuguese words list on Languages with Carla. I'll add it to the screen, the webpage, or I'll add a link to the description of the webpage I'm following for this. And one of the reasons I really like this site is it's European Portuguese, not Brazilian Portuguese. Nothing against Brazilian Portuguese, but that's where my family is, Europe based. So if I learn Brazilian Portuguese, then I will be made fun of for saying certain words in Brazilian and not European Portuguese. Anyone who has tried learning a language and has family that speaks that language, you know how it'd be. I also make point to review the words that I've already done and test myself. I have like the English in brackets and the Portuguese right beside it, so I can cover with my hand or a piece of paper each side and test myself frequently. I have this beautiful little magnet wiener dog bookmark that is only there because it just makes me feel happy. This is actually an old, very old bookmark that I got from Kikki, which is an Australian based stationery brand. That's really like what the notebook system is so far, and I love the fact that I can say those words so far, because I can just take out anything that I no longer want in there, and there you go. It's no longer part of the system. I can add something different that's more relevant. And actually, because of that customization, I actually think that this kind of gives it a little bit of safety from being trendy, because I do think this is something that is kind of trending on online journals like this, where you can customize and add charms and all that stuff and just make it a whole experience. But what's great about this is that if I ever like don't want to even use this, like let's take away like the notebook journal capabilities within it. Let's say I don't want to use it as a journal anymore. I can use it with folders that you can insert in here to be a receipt holder in my purse. Or when I'm traveling, I can even add my passport to this, and it just slips in there, and there you go. It's like a notebook. Bada boom, bada bing, easy, just like that. I just think that's so handy and great comfort to me if I ever just want to have a period where I'm using some other stationery, because sometimes as a stationery lover, like other things come up that I want to start using. And this means that it will always have like the ability to be used in some way, shape, or form. And the customization element, I think, also takes away some of that it's too pretty to use thing that some people can get into, or at least I can get into when I'm starting a new notebook. You can kind of get overwhelmed with the idea of like, I don't want to mess it up and I need to make it look perfect because the cover is perfect, and I don't want to taint it with my nonsense, my unclear nonsense of what I want inside. But you know, you can always take a notebook out, you can always add one in. It's always evolving and changing, so it takes the pressure off of trying to get it right in the first go, which I also appreciate about this. Customization got taken a step further for me with this journal by adding a little charm. This was definitely inspired by all of the Louise Carmen notebooks I've seen on my For You page, because Louise Carmen does sell charms that you can add to the journal. They're a lot more expensive to add to your journal, but I did this on the cheap by going to Michael's, and I bought this set of 2. Like, I think I got 2 of these charms in here. These are connector charms. I think that's what you have to look at when you're looking for them, because the key here to being able to add it to the main strap is that it has to have 2 holes for you to weave the string in at the back. This string is just inserted into the journal with a simple knot. As you can see, if I pull it, it just pops out. So I just unknotted the string, threaded my charm through it, and then re-knotted it, and it was good to go. I love the journal without the charm too, but I do think like that little gem adds a little like jewelry, a little something special. Have you ever used any type of refillable journal system yourself, and how do you use it? I'm really curious to know. Let me know in the comment section down below. By the end of 2025, I want this thing to be kind of like bursting at the seams. I want both of these to just be like bursting, because there's just so much jam-packed into them. That's my idea of a perfect journal, a perfect planner, something that just looks well used and well loved. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing you know, throughout the year, as I show you this on screen, how the color changes and how it develops, not just from the outside but also the inside. I'll see you soon with the new one. Until then, bye guys.